Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2018 Mav War Tournament, and welcome to the knockout stages. My name is Blake, and I'm here casting with Hollywood. Tell them to ready up, please. How are you doing, Hollywood?
I'm doing great. It's late, but I'm always excited to see some competitive Left 4 Dead 2.
Absolutely. Tonight we have Team Lovebone taking on Team Thinking on the worst map in the game, Blood Harvest. We've been sitting here for over 45 minutes trying to get this match started, and I just want to get it started. But first, let's do a quick roster rundown. For Team Thinking, we have Ryan, M, Menko, and Hydro. And why don't you take away Team Lovebone, Hollywood?
Yes, on Team Lovedome, we have Team Captain Rails Barlow, Vanille, Lobsterfax, and Verbansky. We are getting right into it. Thinking on the Survivor side, Lovebone on the Infected side. They have a Charger, Hunter, Smoker, Boomer. There is, of course, the very dangerous possibility of a Death Charge right here on this map, although it is a tricky one to land. We're going to see if the Infected choose to go for it or just try to do some solid damage. We've already got a Hunter spawned in, making some noise on the other side of the hill here. Survivors are just clearing out some... Survivors looks like they are going for the Death Charge. The Chargers are moving in, but Survivors have backed off.
We do have everything spawned up. Looks like they all did choose to come from the front, and for that, the Boomer did get popped. I definitely probably would have sent the Boomer from the back there. I think they kind of got a little too anxious with this hit, probably because Thinking is baiting for so long, which, that's fair. It looks like they are going in. A nice 15 DP goes out. 2-cap does land, and that is a very quick tri-cap landing. A lot of damage going out on Ryan.
That was a very unexpected tri-cap, given that they, the Boomer floundered so uselessly towards the beginning. I think Thinking got a little too confident with their bait, and instead they ate a lot of damage. Of course, thankfully no Death Charge, but still, that's Ryan already bleeding before this tank. We had an unfortunate crash for a streamer, but looks like the tank is going to move on in the hands of Rails. We don't have time to escape this over to Warm. He's going to get a quick punch onto Zoe. Second punch, he's going to send her right over and to her death? No, and it's just barely alive. Now she is dead. That's one survivor down. Manko, Hydro, and Ryan, the only survivors left standing. There's a pull onto Lewis. That jockey's moving in. A charge onto Bill. I think that might be a Death Charge. Nope, he's just barely alive, but the survivors, this is already looking dangerously close to a wipe here. The tank led the rock onto Francis. He's going to push in, land another punch. He's in the yellow. A second punch, I should say. Third punch, he is in-capped into the trees. Smoker gets another pull onto Lewis, and that's it. Bill clipped on the bridge. That is a wipe, ladies and gentlemen, from Lovebone in the hands, led by Team Captain Rails, controlling the team.
Okay. So that, a lot happened during that tank. Rails played that really, really well. He got a lot of solid corners, and his support all landed. I don't think the jockey landed, but the jockey just played enough distraction that he was able to get another corner off that smoke after that death punch. And it seems like Thinking wasn't really ready for that tank fight. That's a really, really difficult place to fight the tank with the survivors. It's not that great, and that's why I kind of was hoping they would push that tank, because it's so hard to kill it there. So, very nice infected play by Lovebone, and I don't think Thinking really played this map enough, but what do I know? I'm just a team sub. As a reminder, we do have a Smoker, Boomer, Hunter, Charger for this first hit. Looks like we already do have the Hunter respawned up on the rocks. He is going to go for a damage bounce here. Rails is being very aggressive up at the front. Looks like that Boomer is set up in the front. Everything also set up in the front for Thinking. Very similar to the hit that Lovebone did. Let's see if they can match the damage.
A Death Charge here would be fantastic. And as you mentioned, Rails is pushing very aggressively, of course. Given that this match has been delayed so much and we did have an interruption towards the middle, he may be getting a little impatient. But as you mentioned, Team Lovebone has scrimmed this match a fair amount. Hunter goes in, the pull goes out. Is that a Death Charge? That is a Death Charge for Thinking. It's exactly what they needed. Lovebone is down a survivor right here at 20% map progress. That's going to put them, at this point, it's just a question of distance, and at this point, I would certainly be thinking you want to rush this tank. There's no beating that tank, as you mentioned, on this map of all places.
So you should be rushing that tank anyway. But yeah, at this point, they really do have to rush the tank. If I were in their shoes, I would definitely just take a second. Okay, we just get the tank switched, apparently. If I were in Lovebone shoes, I would absolutely just be trying to get as much distance as possible and then understand that this is map 1, and map 1 is not that important on Blood Harvest or any campaign. You're not going to lose that many points. We do have Vanille going for the switch here. She does rush up and gets a very nice quick crown. Looks like the SI are holding a Hunter Smoker Boomer Charger for this tank spawn. Let's see what they choose to do with it.
A tri-cap, of course, would be ideal, but it's a question of whether this boom can land. The boom does spawn, gets a single boom out onto Bill, who also gets pounced. The Smoker gets killed. The boomer does land up proxying onto Lewis. That Charger's getting some nice punches in on Vanille as well, but she does manage to kill it with the baseball bat. Got a lot of horde coming up from that 2-boom. It is worth mentioning also, there was a bit of confusion with who was going to be getting the tank for thinking. The tournament here is involving a new sort of system for assigning tanks. The tanks that are being assigned, they're sort of paired to players of approximate skill levels. So for example, because Rails got the first tank, Hydro is now in control of this tank, and he's already moving it in. Zoe gets pulled by a Smoker. The tank is pushing dangerously close to their faces, but he's not able to close the distance. He does have 2 Hunters and a Boomer ready as support, however. Boomer spawns behind, gets a nice triple boom, and it still wasn't popped, but he does get popped at the last second. 1 Hunter is already spawned in. This tank doesn't seem to be able to decide which survivor he wants to push into right at the moment.
Lovebone currently is just running as far away as possible. And when I saw this 3-boom land, I just assumed that they were dead. But I'm not really sure what he is doing. We do have a Hunter going out. He does get that land. He does get a punch on Phil. Other survivors are now getting punched around. The support is coming in again. Rock does land on Zoe. Rails is down. Hunter does land. Lewis is not able to clear it though. Looks like this is going to be the wipe for thinking. Yes, that is the wipe.
Really action-packed first map on Blood Harvest. I suppose it may have been worth the delay. And as you mentioned, there is a slight 30-point lead, but of course, it's really not about the lead. If anything, map 1 is more it more sets the tone for the future of the game rather than, you know, like thinking about this in a numbers perspective of, oh, who has the lead. So as I was mentioning earlier, before Hydro pushed in there, the tanks here are sort of assigned like in pairs, and the pairs, as was explained by one of the tournament admins just before we went live, it was Rails and Hydro, who, as we saw, just got their tanks. Ryan and Verbansky, Brittany, also known as Manco, and Lobster, and M and Vanille. So each tank is sort of assigned to like a player, and they all have approximate skill levels. Both the captains had their tank on the same, you know, map as we just saw. We're going to see some in the future. We do have a Hunter and a Jockey Smoker going in right immediately, but the survivors pushed back into the safe room, although Zoe still got hit by the Charger and the Spit. That's a nice amount of damage onto M.
I'm very surprised they chose to go for that safe room hit, but I mean, like, clearly it works. They did 46 damage off the first hit, which, I mean, that can do a lot of damage, but it can also do no damage, so I would be very happy with that. We do have a 63% tank, so this tank is going to be outside after the event, which I think everybody enjoys much more than the event tank. The event tank is absolutely horrible. We do have a 2-2 Spitter, Charger, Jockey, Boomer for this hit. I wouldn't be mad at this. We do have the Charger pre-spawned inside, Spitter pre-spawned outside. It's going to get picked. Charger is now going in. It does manage to land on Bill. That is a 2-cap landing off that hit. And Jockey's still landing, and that's a quad boom too. That was so much damage, and I'm not sure why.
I think that both of these teams are playing this much more aggressively and much faster than I think either one of them is comfortable with. We've seen some really silly misplays with the spawns, as we just saw that Charger and Spitter pre-spawning, you know, the Boomer on map 1 that spawned, you know, for the first hit on Lovebone and had just nothing to do and got popped. I think both of these teams are a little too impatient at all of the delays, and they're really paying for it. But on the other hand, their opponents are making mistakes that are just as bad, so I mean, it's keeping it even. It's certainly making a much more entertaining game. We have the next hit coming in. Hunter lands onto Lewis. The Charger's going to get a punch onto him and try to charge him off, but the God Frames do save him. There's a bit of spit damage going on as well. Smoker looking for a last second pull onto Lewis. He does manage to get it, but he does get cleared immediately. One more Charger punch, and the Smoker gets killed.
You know, for like absolutely nothing landing during that hit, they still actually did pretty decent damage.
Absolutely. All of the survivors have taken their, I would say, about 15-20 damage each. So that puts them into, you know, 4-punch tank range, which is, you know, pretty good, given that, as you mentioned, this tank is going to be outside. It's not going to be fought in here, which is a much more dangerous tank.
Absolutely. And that tank it can be 50-50 on whether or not it wipes. It's a hard tank. And I don't know if thinking really is sure how to play it. Oh, we do have a hit going in though. Boomer going in for a boom does get shoved. This is playing a proxy boom. Stick goes down on nothing, and that's going to leave the Hunter and Spitter up. So good shutdown by thinking. I think lovebone kind of went a little bit early there. We do have a pounce landing on Francis though with Death Spit going down on that. So it's going to be a pretty decent hit for just 2 infected. But yeah, as you were saying, this outside tank, it can be deadly. And thinking they don't exactly have the best situation in terms of health. They have all 4 of their pills. Nobody's really bleeding, but... Then welcome back. We apologize for that. Xbye is having some computer issues. If it happens again, Hollywood's just going to take over and we'll send you over there. But what you missed during that tank fight was Lobsterfax having a great tank and getting a 2-cap and wiping. So very good wiping out by lovebone. That is definitely what they needed on this hit. We did have that jockey going in for that first hit, trying to get something, not really able to get anything, it just died. Charger does get leveled by Rail Scarlet. It goes down. Actually, no, just gets killed. Smoker in the back gets killed, so no damage coming out from the first hit. Team thinking great shutdown by lovebone. If they can keep this up, they are in a good position to take this match.
Absolutely. As Blake mentioned, the Lobster tank was able to wipe, at around the halfway point of the map, which means that lovebone is in a very nice position to take a huge lead right here on map 2. Unlike map 1, there is a fair amount of distance points that they can make here that thinking is going to have to make up in the future. We do have a single boom that went out onto Verbansky, but there's not much the Horde can do when they're all the way up there. Although there is a charger going in, trying to land onto Zoe. It does manage to land with Spit going down, and that jockey looks like he's going to get a few scratches in there, but Vanilla is able to get out of there before he lands the jump.
That was a very, very good take from lovebone. Even though that, charge spit did land, they did clear that they never started the event.
Looks like they have started it, and they're just going to run it. Very aggressive by lovebone right now.
Okay, Xbye can use spec. Yeah, okay, that was very surprising. They are going to be taking the event out here. This is an interesting call, and I'm on the team, and I didn't even know they did this. So, alright. For this next hit, thinking does have a Boomer, Smoker, Spitter, Charger. Pretty good setup for this outside area. Looks like we do have the hit going in. Smoker does get cleared quickly. Charger is going to land. Not too much damage. One boom does go out on Vanille. Pretty decent take by lovebone. I don't know about this call, honestly. I think they probably could have taken a hit inside much easier, but... Alright.
I would agree. Also, it is worth mentioning that because they took that shortcut, they did not get the extra pills that Thinking grabbed, although, of course, Thinking did wipe immediately after, so it didn't really matter. Regardless, we do have the next hit going in. Hunter, Jockey, and Smoker. That's a quad cap. 3 of them landing. Lobsterfax is getting pulled. These clears came out woefully slow, although all the survivors are still in the green, luckily for them.
I feel like, yeah. They chose to take the hits out there, take the Horde out there. I think it was an interesting call. I don't know how it would have gone inside. Maybe that was the better call. We'll never know. But what we do know is that the tank is up in the hands of Brittany, and I feel like that's wrong.
As I recall, Lobster got the last tank, which means, no, yeah, this is the Brittany tank. It should be. That was what MK said at the beginning of the match. He's going to throw a rock in there, but it does get skied. However, we do have a single boom landing onto Rails in the back. Hunter's already spawned up from the top. Looks like he's going to try to land on Rails while he's doing it, although Rails isn't able to ski it, and there is no one there to clear, and the tank is going in.
I am not sure why Verbansky chose to jump down and not clear Rails, but that took way too long. Vanilla is currently getting cornered. They're trying to shred this tank, and he doesn't have many places to go. But we do have a charge going out on Rails Barlow on the top. Just like quickly cleared. Rock is going to go out on that. Looks like Brittany is going to try to jump up and get Rails Barlow, but he gets pounced up top. Tank is going up there. She tries to throw a rock on him. Not really land much. She now has 2,300 HP. It's just sitting up top. We do get some pills to Rails Barlow. Looks like Lobsterfax is getting very aggressive on this tank. Boom does go down on Vanille, who is in a pretty dangerous spot. But that's not going to be hard to clear that Horde. Tank is recommitting right now. Jockey does go in. They do get Vanille up, and now they're going to get double cornered. Jockey does land, but they do kill that tank just barely. Charger comes in. Oh my god.
What a nail-biter of a tank fight. Lobsterfax chose to get Vanilla up while there was a horde, while she was cornered in that little tiny little corner between the train car and the wall. Very ballsy call, and he did pay for it, you know, with a punch and a charge. But luckily for them, they survived. They were able to kill the tank and get their teammate up. The survivors are alive, and as we mentioned, this is their opportunity to make a ton of distance points. We got 2 bleeders, 2 survivors green, but I mean, all 4 are fast, or I should say 3 of them are fast. Rails is slow. Smoker goes in from the back, gets cleared. Jockey is spawned on top of the train, but gets killed. The Spit goes down onto nothing, and also going to get killed immediately.
It is out note that right now they're currently sitting at about 286 bonus. Vanilla is black and white. So, assumably, they're only going to have to take about 1 more hit. Maybe not even that. Looks like Francis and Lobsterfax is going to be pushing there's the witch. Is going to be pushing the witch up here. And they are going to have a Charger, Smoker, Jockey, Boomer for this hit. Rails is now ghosting up. Charger and Smoker have spawned up on the witch. This could be very dangerous for Lobster.
Rails has definitely learned his lesson. He was getting way too aggressive on that witch, but he has wisely chosen to back off. He's going to go for this aggro, but the Smoker and Charger are still waiting to win. The Charger does hit him, pushes him out and over the train car. The Smoker does manage to pull Lobster, but gets cleared. This witch is slowly moving her way towards Bill right now. And Hunter lands onto Francis for a second, and Rails does get the crown on the witch.
They got the crown, only lost about 70 bonus for that. Oh, Verbansky choosing to down Rails Barlow. I don't know about that.
Very interesting choice, but of course lovebone has been full of interesting choices in this map already. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that was really worth it, given that there was only about like 10 feet to the safe room door. Regardless, lovebone has made taken a nice lead here, about 400 points, and hopefully, we can make it through this match without any more delays.
God, please, God. Please. Yeah, so lovebone walking into this map 3 with about a 400-point lead, which that's not amazing for this map, but this map can either go either way, where teams are making thousands of points in bonus, or they're wiping. And that's just the nature of Blood Harvest, and I think it's a terrible map, but that's beside the point. I know lovebone has been scrimming it quite a lot, because I was scrimming it with them, and so I know how much they know about this map, and I would have to give the edge to them at this point, not only because they are my team, but because we've played it a lot, and we know what we need to do. And so with the 41% tank, this is pretty much the only tank on this map. They know how to fight it. I don't know where I was going with this. My voice is actually starting to give out, so can you take over, Hollywood?
Absolutely. As Blake mentioned, he has scrimmed this map far more than he would like to. I have personally scrimmed this map with Rails a few times myself. We do have a Jockey and a Charger going from the opposite side. The Charger does manage to land. The Spit goes out, but doesn't hit anything, I believe. The Jockey got killed, and the rest of that hit was taken very well by lovebone. Of course, this is a terrible area for first hit by the infected. They're going to push on through here, and definitely probably looking to spawn this tank right after they clear this amount of horde here. As Blake mentioned, lovebone has developed several strats to deal with this tank, and we do know a few of them. Although it is worth mentioning, for all the preparation lovebone has done, they have made some very questionable decisions on this map alone. They did get death charged on map 1 quite ridiculously, I want to say. And as their decision on map 2 to take the event, outside was also something that I don't think either of us ever saw while they were scrimming. But regardless, we do have, we're going to see what they do with this tank here. The infected do have a Smoker, Boomer, Jockey, and a Charger.
This is definitely the hit that you want on this tank spawn. If you can land that boom, and it's a very easy boom to land, all the tank has to do is commit. You push him back into a log, or you push him forward, and we do have that boomer going in, not able to land. Tank up in the hands of M14 thinking. Looks like she's going to be going straight in with a Smoker, Jockey, Charger. Let's just keep it here for this. It's like time to go to a war room. M going in, getting a quick corner on Lobsterfax, but she does punch him very far away. Jockey does go and land on Lewis. Charger goes out on Bill. That was almost a tri-cap, but this tank has 700 HP, they just need to shoot it just a little bit, and she's dead. She is trying to get out. Throwing a rock is not going to land that rock. She does try to get out, but she's dead.
Stop shooting me!
That was some beautiful support from the SI, but as we mentioned, this is a very difficult tank. The survivors were able to chip that one down very easily with those two Uzis they had on the Chromes. Six are going to push on through here. The next hit is a Jockey, Boomer, Spitter, and just one last one waiting in the wings, a Charger. This is a pretty decent hit for this inner area. Of course, no, there is a Spitter. What am I saying? In this hallway, this is a very dangerous hit. That's what I meant to say.
It absolutely is. We do have the Jockey and Charger coming to the front. Jockey and Charger both. No, Jockey lands on Bill. Charger lands on Francis. That's a lot of bonus going down on that one hit.
This is something that I think we've been seeing all night already. I think both teams are getting super aggressive every time they see, a tiny opportunity to, take a lead and get some distance. They fumble it spectacularly and take a ton of damage that they really shouldn't be taking. Maybe it's the map, maybe it's just the frustration that we're playing so late in the day. I'm not quite sure. Regardless, we do have the Witch spawned next to this, not even sure what this is, train car, I suppose. She's in a pretty bad spot, but the Infected do have a Charger, Smoker, and a Hunter to try and mess up these Witch attempts. Or perhaps the survivors aren't even going to bother with her. They're taking this all the way to the left. Looks like they're not even going to bother with the Witch. They're just going to try and walk around her and get to the event trigger.
Actually, they might kill the Witch if they drop the event on her. And I don't think that's the worst idea in the world. Like, okay, you don't get 25 points from killing the Witch. God forbid. It's not the worst thing in the world. Nope, it looks like Rails Barlow is looking to draw this Witch right now. They do have the Spitter, Smoker, and Charger all set up top. Looks like they do get the crown. Pull goes out onto the Smoker, quickly cleared. Hunter is going to land on the Francis, excuse me. Charger does whiff on the Mill, but she is slow now, and they're going to have to grab pills for her in that room, and nobody has opened the pill box, but there is two sets of pills.
Apparently they only grabbed one. Now Francis is going back for the other, while Vanille and I want to say Verbansky are going to start this event. As you mentioned, there was really no need to kill that Witch, but I suppose Rails is just really gung-ho about getting absolutely every single point that he can, and it has worked out for him to an extent so far. This event has started. This horde is pretty brutal, but unfortunately the Infected are a little out of sorts. Jockey and Hunter going in individually. Both get picked. The Smoker does manage to land a pull onto Francis, but also gets cleared immediately. Most of their spawns are down. They're pretty staggered. I think the survivors are going to make the safe room without even having to deal with the full hit.
They absolutely will. They did throw that vial, and it landed in a tree in the very far back. I think they threw it a little bit early because they are dealing with this common here at the end, but it's not. The SI couldn't really get any spawns off of it, so they are going to be able to walk into the safe room with 520 bonus, which that's pretty good for this map. There's 40% of the possible bonus for this map with full distance. I would be very happy with that if I was lovebone, which I am lovebone, and I'm very happy with that.
And as we mentioned, they did secure a lead already on map 2, which means that Thinking is going to have to play quite perfectly if they want to stay in this match. I mean, they're already down, I believe, 400 points going into this map, which means that they are going to have to ace this tank and, make it into the safe room with some considerable bonus if they want to keep this, even somewhat even.
I think, even if they can just match the bonus that they make, it's possible to make a comeback on map 4. I believe we are slaying the third tank on the finale. Don't hold me to that. That's just what I've heard. So it's also possible to make a comeback on the finale, but the finale is one of probably the hardest in the game. It's difficult to make bonus on it. So I would agree. I think this is going to be the ultimate map for Thinking. I think they need to really, get it together and shut down hits, protect their bonus, and don't rush shit, and they might be fine. We're gonna see what happens.
Patience is the name of the game. I think this hit, it's not a dangerous hit if you at least can keep your cool. The Jockey goes in, gets shoved and killed. Charger goes in, also gets killed. Spit goes down onto nothing. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a hit taken with virtually no damage going on whatsoever.
Yeah, actually no damage went out on that hit at all. Actually, they're all sitting at 100 HP, which doesn't happen very much. I would like to point that out. Usually you shoot your teammates, so great down coming out by Thinking. They might have, I doubt lovebone's gonna head for this tank, especially with the Smoker, Boomer, Jockey, Charger. So really what this is going to come down to is popping this boomer. Looks like they are being very, very aggressive here. Smoker does spawn up in the back. We do have everything spawning up. Charger does go in. It's the enemy to land. But that is a 2-boom landing from Rails Barlow with the tank in the hands of Vanille. She's just going straight in off that 2-boom. All she has is a jockey to help her right now. But she still has a lot of HP. She just gets 2 nice punches on Zoe. Turns around, gets a nice punch on Lewis. Turns around, gets another nice punch on Zoe. Unfortunately, doesn't whiff. It's starting to whiff punches on Zoe. I don't think she can actually punch her up there. We do have a jockey landing in the back. Tank is dead. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's a double charge going out.
What an insane tank fight. Bill is still jockeyed in the back with no clear going on. He is in-capped. I mean, as we mentioned, the SI was kind of killed before the tank even got in there, but luckily that 2-boom from Rails did a ton of work. The tank got so many punches down. Bill was separated from his team, and the Charger landed a double charge towards the end. I think the only mistake that was really made by that tank was unfortunately missing all those punches onto Zoe, but she got, like, caught on a rock, I think, and was just jumping around and couldn't even reach her.
Yeah, Vanille needed to really turn around and go for somebody else there. I don't think she was actually able to punch Hydra where Hydra was. I think she just got a little bit too fixated on trying to get in there. But other than that, that was a fantastic, tank coming out from Vanille and a fantastic shutdown coming out from Thinking. I have not checked their bonus, but I imagine it's about where Lovebone is at. But we do have a boom going in, getting a nice quad boom with a lot of stumbles into the pit. So Zoe's going to take a considerable amount of damage just hitting his pit. And I think she just kind of took some ball damage too, so good hit by Lovebone.
Yep, Hydro is going to pull out that golf club and is just going to move his way right on through this map. He's moving really aggressively. Clearly, he's thinking, speed is the name of the game rather than just team cohesion. The rest of his team is way in the back, but luckily there are no spawns to capitalize on this separation right now. The Witch is up. This is the Jockey, Hunter, Smoker, Boomer. Hydro gets pulled, but also gets cleared. I don't think that these Infected are planning to do anything with this Witch. She's in a pretty bad spot. I wouldn't even really bother with it, but looks like the Hunter's still going to try and make something happen. He spawned behind the tree, going to try and get something before Hydra gets his crown, but Hydra does get the crown, although he does get pounced just for a second.
Very nice crown coming out from Hydro. He rushed that, and he got a very quick shot on her, and Rails was just not able to react quickly enough, which that happened. Looks like they are going to be sending a spitter inside. Bill kind of gets stuck on some common and does take quite a lot of hit damage. They are just trying to kill the spitter right now, and there we go, finally killed the spitter. Then he's going to leave a Hunter, a Boomer, a Jockey, and whatever spawn Verb gets. Right now they are sitting pretty on 4 sets of pills, now 2. Lot of bonus. Yeah, they do have 7 points bonus less than Lovebone right now. So if they can make it in with this, that's, matching what Lovebone did. We do have that Boomer going in, not able to really land anything. That is going to leave a Hunter, Jockey, and a Hunter. Not the hit that you want for this. They are going to send them in. Hunter is going to land on the Hydro. Hunter's also going to land on Bill. Jockey's going in, pouncing around, getting some scraps. He's not really able to land. So a little bit damage going out on that last hit. But right now it looks like Thinking is just going to be able to match what Lovebone did.
Very nicely done by Team Thinking. They're starting to look a little more, in order. That's just actually starting to look like a competitive game. And I'm very excited to see this because there's still a fair amount of lead going out for Team Lovebone. But as you mentioned, Map 4 and the finale are very difficult maps. The finale, I believe, will have 3 tanks if memory serves. There will be 1 tank before they drop on the cornfield, and then 2 on the finale. So, as you mentioned, it's very unlikely there will be any bonus for either of those teams. I don't believe that any of them will make it, with tons of health to spare. So it's all going to come down to this map, I believe. This is the map where either Lovebone will secure the win and continue through the knockout stage, or Thinking will pull a comeback victory and, make all of those hours that Rails and Blake have spent screwing this map, go to waste. So it'll be very interesting.
It absolutely will. I'm very excited to see how this tank fight goes. I think it's going to be a really important tank fight for Lovebone. The first hit, we do have a Jockey, Charger, Smoker, Boomer. Looks like that Jockey is set up behind the safe room. I think that's a really interesting spawn. We do have Rails pushing out here, trying to clear some commons, trying to maybe bait the SI into coming, but they are waiting for 2 people to come out, which is generally what you do want to do. Looks like we do have the hit going in now. Bull does go out on Bill. Charger goes in, misses. Jockey lands on Billy, it's quickly cleared. But that's a quad boom going out. A lot of punches going out on Real Scarlet. Pretty decent hit. Only really the Jockey landed, but that Charger was able to get 24 damage and punches. I wouldn't be mad at that if I was thinking.
Absolutely, that first hit is pretty garbage for the Infected, but they did make it work. They got a decent amount of separation just for a second, but they did what they needed to do. Rails is going to get a nice easy crown, however, that which is in a bad spot, and the spawns unfortunately are just too slow to make anything happen. However, the next hit is ready. Hunter, Boomer, Jockey, Smoker. There is a chance for some crazy amount of separation if the survivors make a silly mistake and don't drop together here. Rails is just, casually sauntering around, clearing some of these common. He's got his team with him. Looks like they're going to take this very carefully. You don't want to, have some ridiculous pull from the back at the last second. Boom does go out. Rails dodges it quite well and pops it. There is a Smoker in the back and the Hunter. Smoker pulls Lewis and Francis gets pounced. Luckily, Zoe is still able to clear them from the white truck.
That was a hit. That was a hit. We do have the tank up in the hands of Ryan, also known as Pierce. This is a pretty interesting tank. We do have a bot Smoker outside who just spontaneously exploded. Why don't we actually take this over to War Room? How about a thinking War Room?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Dude!
Keep it! Oh, kill it!
Use the boomer if you can.
Alright, hold up, I got you, bro. Check this out.
The windows aren't open though. Should I open it for you?
Nah, I got it.
Oh my god.
So close.
Close.
Watch the chip, watch the chip. You're at 65, 60, 55, 50, 45. Yeah, I'll make it intel.
30.
Nice.
Oh, that's 100. I should open.
What's up, what's up?
Nice.
Yeah, you can keep playing rock tank there.
Just watch your rage.
Okay, get ready to hit, guys.
Yep.
Ready? Let's
Okay,
go.
go. Nice boom. Oh. Nice.
And we are back after that tank in the hands of Ryan. That was good damage. We saw a lot of close calls with that forklift. We saw a lot of close calls with the support. But Lobster at the end there clutched out a kill on a jockey and was able to pop a boomer as well to get himself out of the smoke. So amazing play by Lobster. I think lovebone took that pretty well. They walked out of it alive and with a decent amount of bonus. So if I was lovebone, and I am, again, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think of that tank though, Hollywood?
It was looking extremely dangerous for a second. Oh my goodness, they do have a charge and stick going on inside. Jockey looking for something on Lobster, but once again he manages to kill that Jockey by himself. Really putting the team on his back right now. As I was saying just a second ago, that tank fight was looking, there were so many opportunities where Blake and I were literally on the edge of our seats just watching that forklift. He managed to get so many punches where it looked like it was just about to hit the survivors, but then was stopped, by a table or whatever. So lovebone, as we mentioned, Lobster got some nice clears to save himself, and they did manage to chip that tank really well. But I think lovebone just got a teensy bit lucky. I mean, a forklift hit that managed to ink out one of those survivors, and that tank fight could have gone very differently. Fortunately for them, however, they are still sitting on a nice amount of bonus. Lobster and Verbansky are still in the green. Rails and Vanilla are bleeding, but they only have a quick little event they have to run through here.
Looks like this Smoker is setting up outside house pre-spawn. Jockey is pre-spawned as well. Smoker does get a little chip though. I don't know if he has an effective ladder there to get back up.
I don't believe he does. I think he's going to try and have to move through the house or maybe move backwards and pre-spawn. Yeah, he's gonna try and despawn, I believe. Some disorganization coming out from the infected. There is a single move going out onto Zoe. Bill gets hit by a jockey and the charge. Oh my goodness! What? A triple boom going out from Team Captain Hydro. This jockey is now landed onto Francis. That's a wipe for thinking right here on map 4.
I don't know what.
I can't believe what I just witnessed.
Oh my god. Well, that's what thinking needed.
That is absolutely what they needed. What an unbelievable wipe. And I mean, it's not a ton of distance, but if they can make that, I mean, this is certainly like, this is more a morale thing than a point system thing. I mean, that was stunning.
They were sitting on a pretty hefty bonus that they were going to be able to walk into that safe room with. I think that could have been game-changing if thinking is able to kill this tank and makes it with bonus. I mean, that could have won in the game right there. Not to mention, like you said, like, morale-wise, that's gotta feel incredible to get a triple death charge. I'm still kind of in shock right now that I just watched that.
So am I, but we do have to get right back into things. It is now Thinking's turn for map 4. We're gonna see if lovebone is able to get some kind of spectacular wipe like that. No tank, no witch needed. They do have this first hit. Oh wait, we're not going live. What am I saying?
I lost your radar for a second and then I'm ready. But yeah, we do have this tank up at the hands of Urbanski, who for the most part has had pretty stable internet today, but as some of you may know, usually doesn't. So he could get some really lucky long arms, but Urbanski is also a very good tank. He is the pot 2 player for a reason. So this is kind of coming down to him right now, and also the SI coordination on the rest of the hits if the tank doesn't wipe. We do have this hit going in though. Pull is going to go out on Zoe. Jockey gets M2. Charger goes in, gets a nice double charge. Quad boom is going to go out. Pretty good damage coming out from that hit by lovebone. That is what they need. They need to keep doing these hits. They need to do this on the tank and wipe them.
Nice encore of that spectacular multi-charge from Hydro. Now Thinking is getting a little taste of their own medicine. The witch is now up. They were all hoarded, but luckily they're still going to make it to this witch and be able to crown her with no problem at all. Unless she does something ridiculous here. Nope, Zoe does get the crown, luckily for them. And looks like they're just going to take this drop immediately. Yup, no hit here to capitalize on it. The tank is now up in the hands of Urbanski. Boomer goes out but gets popped immediately. That's a nice bit of saving grace for Team Thinking.
I think that boom, had that landed, could have been very dangerous. They are sitting on a Hunter Jockey Charger for this. Why don't we run this over to a lovebone war room before Burke Smith?
Absolutely.
Watch your fire!
Do you want me to go around?
No, not yet. Watch it. Curve rock around the corner.
Oh, I'm not getting this. This is
Yeah, okay, you're not gonna be able to go through that. We're gonna go through that.
Oh.
But if you get to that point, like right now the way it's positioned is it's like just able to be like just singular hit if you aim it a little bit slow, like down to the out.
Alright. I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, alright.
What the hell are you doing, Francis?
Boom! Okay,
Melee.
Melee. Okay. Up and out.
Wait, you still?
One punch.
We are back after that tank in the hands of Urbanski. We do see 2 downs going out on Hydro and M. We do have Ryan losing all of his permanent HP. Really good damage going out, but that's not a wipe. And they might be able to walk in with a decent amount of bonus, and that's going to make it come down to finale.
Absolutely. Monko, aka Brittany, is sitting on a tremendous amount of green health. That's a real danger here. If I was lovebone, I would be very nervous right now. Because after that crazy wipe And given that, Thinking is looking to tie this up, you don't want to be fighting for the game on this finale. And we do have a nice double cap going in. Hunter and Jockey and Smoker and Charger getting a ton of punches right now. Zoe's still jockeyed. My goodness, I think Thinking is getting a little carried away with themselves right now.
That dropped the bonus almost 200 points, which is really, really good for lovebone. A lot of that was damage bonus, which is a bulk of the bonus right now. As we can see, Manko is the only one with any permanent HP, but health bonus is not just based on permanent HP. It also is just taking damage in general on that temporary health. And it's not weighted as highly as health bonus is, but it still matters. We do have a hit going in here. Charger goes in, is not really able to land. Boomer does go out on Bill. Jockey goes out on Zoe and is able to get the impact on her. I'm not sure really what happened there, but I will call that a good hit.
Seemed like the Infected were trying to capitalize on the fact that there were 3 bleeding survivors stuck in the house while Manko was outside. But, they weren't able to get the multi-cap that they were looking for. As you mentioned, the Charger got killed almost immediately. However, it looks like they are going to have time for at least maybe half a hit before these survivors make the safe room. They've got a Smoker, Spitter, Jockey, and a Charger. Looks like the Spitter's looking to spawn on top of the safe room, and the rest is looking to spawn from the back. Smoker goes out, Charger going in, Spit goes down. Nice multi-charge. Jockey lands onto Zoe. That's 2 incaps going down.
That's a death.
Mako is still, intact for the most part.
Zoe was black and white, and she is now dead. And that is the white.
What in the world? Monko and Rain went out there to save M, and they got killed for it. That is I think that may have been the Hail Mary play that lovebone was looking for. They're still going to have 400 points for this finale. It's a lead, but it's not as cozy as I think they were hoping. Not the kind of lead that it was looking like, just 2 rounds ago.
Absolutely. Coming into this finale, as far as I'm aware, the 3rd tank is being slayed. But if they want really any shot, they have to wipe lovebone on this 1st tank, and they have to kill the 2nd tank. That is just bare minimum. That's 400 points right there. You win. If lovebone is able to kill this 1st tank, which is very possible because this tank is pretty tough. All right, 3rd tank is being slain. Good to know. This tank's pretty tough. Then they have to make bonus, which is really hard on this finale. So it's a lot of this is going to come down to this 1st finale tank for Thinking, and I'm very excited to see it play out.
As you mentioned, it is all going to come down to this 1st finale tank, but it is worth mentioning that we do have, I believe, a Charger for this 1st hit, and there is the ever-present YOLO death charge here on this finale area. If they manage to get it, it is extremely hard to land, but if they manage to get it, that could tie things up right now for Thinking with a neat little bow. And of course, we've seen crazier things happen already. So maybe Hydro can get another shot at this. Maybe he can get a crazy multi-charge and just destroy lovebone one more time. That would be very entertaining to see.
Maybe Hydro is going to get the death smoke, because there's also a death smoke. And a death jockey. Probably a death spit, too, because, it's Blood Harvest. Why not? We do have, as we kind of mentioned, a Spitter, Jockey, Smoker, Charger. Tank is going to spawn as soon as they leave the safe room. Looks like the SI are trying to set up for this really, really quick death charge. I think lovebone knows that. They're being very cautious. Trying to clear this common. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. Jockey has already spawned up. Tank is going to spawn as soon as they step out of the door, though. This is so nerve-wracking.
The anxiety is real. Blake may be watching his own team fail to make the semifinals as we speak. If that happens, I think he might just scream. But of course, we're going to try and keep it together for you all. The Jockey is jumping around, getting some chip on purpose, I believe. I'm not really sure what M thinks she's doing. But as you mentioned, this tank is going to spawn as soon as the survivors leave. And we can see the hesitation right now. Looks like they're finally going to go for it. Smoker and Jockey are alive. Smoke goes up, but gets cleared. Jockey lands, the Charger gets killed. The Spit goes down onto nothing. Smoker gets a repo onto Francis, but gets cleared. We now have the the 1st finale tank for Thinking up in the hands of Ryan. Looks like he's going to push it all the way back. He already knows what's going to happen. Lovebone are going to push him extremely hard.
I was under the impression that Tank would spawn much sooner than it did. I apologize. Yeah, they took that hit really, really, really well. And I'm very glad to see that, because I was terrified something horrible was going to happen there. Ryan is getting up in his rock spot. Spy's going to commit from. Why don't we run this over to a thinking war room and see this penultimate tank for them?
Absolutely.
You're gonna, yeah, just get rid of it. Just spawn and die. Doesn't really matter.
It's too late. It's too late.
Alright. Oh shit. That's alright, you can keep sight.
Gotta get closer. You have sight on them from there, I think.
You're gonna low us though.
Oh, yeah.
You're giving up this back spawn, which is good on us. This tank is just coming from the front. We all back spawn here.
So we should come from the front, right?
No,
Oh, I
no,
see
right
what
here.
you're
They're gonna back up behind the safe room.
Just watch your reach. Pierce.
Get ready. Don't let them get the spot. Let's go.
Pick up bird.
That's it. It's a wipe.
Fucking wipe.
Nice, good job.
Yes! Good
I'm
shit,
free.
Pierce.
Got it.
We are back after that tank from Ryan. We did see the support doing major work, getting that, I believe that was a double charge. And Ryan was able to secure that wipe, and that's what thinking needed. They were able to kill Lovebone on the first tank. And now if they can kill the next two tanks, they're going to be moving on to the semifinals.
One step at a time. That is job one complete, as Blake explained earlier. They needed to wipe Lovebone at the first tank. They've done that, but now they need to survive this first tank and the second tank. So that's a long road to hoe, but it's perfectly doable. This finale is tough, but not unbeatable. This would be such an upset for Team Thinking. I think, as Blake mentioned earlier, Lovebone was the heavy favorite, but right now it's looking extremely precarious position for them right now.
Oh god, okay. I'm trying to remain as unbiased as possible, but I am absolutely mortified for what is about to happen. As a reminder, go ahead, sorry.
We do have the death charge right now, as you mentioned, and the tank does not actually spawn as soon as they leave the safe room, as you and I previously believed. So they do have a little bit of leeway here. The survivors can be a little less cautious, and they are. Francis and Zoe going right out. The smoker goes in. The charger is landing. There's no clear on that. Goodbye, Zoe.
Verb, of all people, lands the death charge on Ryan, the person who wiped them with his tank, and I believe that is going to give Lovebone the win. We do have the tank up in the hands of the Lobster Facts. Why don't we take this over to a Lovebone war room and hear them celebrating?
Absolutely.
Verb, you broke the fucking curse! Lobster, please don't get pushed.
What?
Please don't get pushed by them.
Okay. I just didn't want the chip.
I barely got that respawn, Jesus.
I know. I'm going to go and get a buff on.
You know,
Don't have time to rotate around.
Yeah, okay. Alright, please, when you go in, make sure you get like a good corner, right? And if we push them back, I'm gonna try to arc them from up here.
That's where I'm going.
Reloading!
Okay, let's not
Watch where you point now. Target!
Nice.
No. Nice.
Oh, fucking right! I want to say this to every fucking person who said that this team was the most stacked in the tournament and that ours was shit. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Please get up.
I told you I don't give
Do I look like one of them?
I didn't get double tap them in front. Nice stumble. Good fucking game. We'll see you in the
Nice.
semifinals.
And we are back after that death punch going out on Hydro. They were able to secure the wipe, and with that, Lovebone will be moving on to the semifinals. So congratulations to my team, Lovebone. Just a reminder to go to mavwar.com/vote MVP to select your MVP of the match. I think there's quite a few people who could get it and who deserve it for this match. Thank you all for joining us. I'm not sure. I don't think the next match has been scheduled yet, but please keep an eye on the Mavwar website to see when the next match will be. Hollywood, do you have any parting words?
Such a heartbreaker to see Thinking fumble that incredible opportunity for a comeback. Nothing against my fellow casters, Blake and Rails, but it just would have been pretty crazy to see. Regardless, it was a very entertaining match. I had a lot of fun watching it. I hope you all did too, despite the crashes and the delays. Hope to see you guys next time.